These next 2 weeks will bring dramatic changes that could turn our lives upside down. And the full moon in Leo is just the beginning of this, although it is a major player. The full moon is in the over the top, dramatic sign of Leo. I said dramatic twice. I was trying to think of a second word there, but it is a very dramatic energy, especially because this full moon is culminating in a square with Uranus. Uranus is the planet of change, of shakeups, of just shocking revelations that turn everything around, that cause us to have to immediately take action, to immediately do something new. And with Leo being involved, with the full moon in Leo being involved, we might succumb to some form of nostalgia. It could be that we want to change things in order to bring them back to the way things were during a time that we thought was better or more glorious in some way. However, with Uranus in the mix, the only way through is forward. Forward progress is key. And in order to make that forward progress, we might be shedding a lot of our old skin. We might be breaking away from a lot of old patterns, a lot of old paradigms, and especially a lot of old structures in our lives. This is because Pluto is actually going to be at 29 degrees in the sign of Capricorn, the most volatile degree of any zodiac sign, getting ready to shift into the sign of Aquarius. That shift is going to happen in March, on March 23rd, and we'll have a completely separate video all about that because that is a 20-year transit we're going to want to really dig into. But as we're moving into that transit, as we're moving into the Pluto and Aquarius period, we're leaving the Pluto and Capricorn period that we've just been dealing with for the past 20 years. And people are melting down, you guys. This is a volatile energy where we're shifting out of one paradigm and shifting into a new one. And people are reaching their breaking point. This is because Pluto is a very psychologically and emotionally intense energy. It brings up very traumatic experiences. It brings up a lot of intensity around things that we have been locked into or holding on to that might not be serving us anymore. It's causing people to just burn things to the ground and want to start fresh. And this is going to be a major theme throughout all of 2023, you guys, because Pluto is going to be shifting back and forth in and out of Capricorn and sitting at that 29th degree every time that it does. And that 29th degree is like this weird space in between worlds where you're letting go of what already has been and you're moving into what's possible in the future. It's also the most malleable of all of the degrees of the zodiac, where things can change and shift on a dime very quickly, very easily, that maybe weren't able to shift previous to this time period. It's like, finally, I can break down this wall. Finally, I can break down this barrier. Finally, I can let go of this Capricornian structure, this Capricornian rigidity that I've been adhering to in my life in some way, and I can move forward. I have new possibilities that I'm looking to with this Aquarian energy, which is all about the possibilities, the innovations, what we can do, what progress we can make well into the future. And so this energy is already here because we're at the end degrees of Pluto in Capricorn, but it's very, very potent coming into February 11th and onward because it's at that specific anaretic degree of Capricorn. And so this is huge, you guys. And on top of this, all planets are still full speed ahead. That means people are just jumping into stuff, full force, going all over the place. This is like a rush, 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 burn it down, move on, go to the next thing kind of energy. And it's a little overwhelming. And so you might find that you're feeling frazzled, you're feeling burnt out, you're feeling overwhelmed, and you want to burn all the bridges. Well, kind of just keep in mind with this Plutonian energy, like, yes, Pluto is like a phoenix rising from the ashes sort of energy where sometimes you do have to purge things. Sometimes you do have to burn it all down so you can come back even more powerful and even more victorious without the excess. But sometimes when you burn it all to the ground and you're not doing it in a responsible Capricornian way, because this is Pluto and Capricorn, you might just be left with ashes. And I don't want that for any of you guys. So make sure that if you're jumping into something, if you're changing something, if you're breaking something apart that has stood the test of time and maybe has served you in a lot of ways, make sure that you're thinking it through and you're not doing it on impulse, because this is going to be an energy where we have felt stuck, especially with all the fixed energy with this full moon. It's like we felt stuck in a certain paradigm. We felt stuck in a certain lifestyle. We felt stuck in a lot of ways. And now we're just done with being stuck. And I think that can be good for a lot of people. I think that this is needed for a lot of people, but I'm also seeing the kind of opposite end of that spectrum where people are just kind of like done with it and creating just havoc in their wake. And you don't want to be that person. So that's kind of what we're going to be dealing with for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to get into this a little bit more. But I also just wanted to mention real quick, first off, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Like this video if you like it and share it with your friends if you feel like they could benefit from the information that I'm sharing with you today, because I put a lot of thought and energy and time into this video. And I want it to help as many people as possible, because we're getting into some weird times. But also, I want to mention, for those of you who are interested in learning astrology, for those of you who are astrology students who are learning maybe in a more haphazard way and having difficulty putting all of the pieces together in order to give meaningful, accurate astrology readings with confidence, I have a free gift for you. I am doing a 3-part video series next week called The Secrets of Astrology Mastery. It begins February 8th. We're going to cover the history and rise and fall of astrology. We're going to cover some of the biggest mistakes and things that I wish I would have known when I started learning astrology. We're going to cover specific techniques that you can do instead in order to actually start integrating what you're learning so you can give interpretations, and so much more. This is my free gift to you. And with the Secrets of Astrology Mastery, you'll also receive a free demo version of the Cosmic Academy of Astrology, where you will unlock an entire module from the Academy on the 12 astrological houses. I've chosen this one specifically because this is where there's a lot of misinformation, and this is where students start to kind of go off target and struggle a little bit when it comes to starting to integrate all of your knowledge. And so I want to bring it back to basics and bring it back to the traditional understanding of the houses. And so that's what we do in this module. So that's free for you. And if you don't want the Secrets of Astrology Mastery, but you still want the 12 houses demo, where you can get access to the lectures, to the bonus study group session recording, to the homework assignments that help you pull it all together, I've got you covered. You can choose either or. The choice is yours, and you can make that choice down in the description below by clicking one of the links that will take you to those pages. And I'm doing this, of course, because I'm celebrating the fact that we're opening the Cosmic Academy of Astrology for enrollment on February 8th. And so I'm just excited. I'm going to share these gifts with you. If you join, great. If you don't, that's fine too. But if you're interested in really knowing your stuff, really diving into taking your astrology studies seriously, getting the mentorship, getting the structure, getting all of the information you need and all of the help you need to pull it all together, the Cosmic Academy of Astrology is for you. And that is, again, opening next week. So keep an eye on what I'm doing, I guess, if you're interested in that. But that's kind of what I wanted to announce here. So let's kind of dive back into the astrology. So 2 biggest events: full moon in the sign of Leo on February 5th, squaring Uranus. That is going to bring about dramatic changes in areas that we thought were relatively stable. And I think it's going to be a lot of self-imposed change. That tends to happen with fire sign energy. It's like through your own volition, something occurs, something happens. And so through your own volition, you're going to make some dramatic changes. You're going to shift things in a new direction. And it could feel very sudden, very abrupt, very shocking, very volatile. And if you feel this volatility internally and you don't take action on it, you don't make the change as this full moon culminates this weekend, then the change will come to you. The change will make you instead, right? And that's what you don't want. So Uranus works in one of 2 ways. Either you sense the frustration, you sense the need to do something completely outside of the box and very different from what you've done in the past, and you take action on it. Or you're afraid, you sit in your stagnancy, and Uranus comes in and creates an event externally that forces your hand, that forces the change. And that is usually the least comfortable route to take. It's never comfortable with Uranus. You're going to have to embrace discomfort in an area where you crave the most comfort in your life, in this fixed sign energy. but it's going to be less comfortable if you don't take the advantage of like doing it yourself, because you're being given that opportunity at this full moon. And so the full moon's going to bring it up. You'll see it. It'll be bright and clear what you need to do. And then you're going to go in and do it because you watched this video, right? So you're going to know, this is irritating me. I need to change it. I need to make sure that I'm not just burning it all to the ground and just, creating havoc, but I need to change this, right? I need to change this. So that's what's going on for that full moon energy, which we'll talk about for all 12 signs. The Pluto energy, we've kind of discussed that in pretty great detail. I'm going to break that down for all 12 signs too. But for those of you who want to pick this apart in your chart in a little bit more detail and get the most out of this video, make sure you download my free Astrology 101 PDF guide. And once you've downloaded the guide, which by the way, if you've tried to download it in the past and it didn't get to you for some reason, we finally figured out what was going on and fixed that glitch. So you can download it now and it will get to you. So make sure you do that. And we took out all the ads and all the excess. It's literally, you're just getting the guide now and it's coming to everyone. So I'm excited for that. So you can download that. So download the Astrology 101 PDF guide. You're going to want to look for planets that you have in the fixed signs first. These are going to be the most volatile energies, and the significations of these planets are going to be subject to change. You're also going to want to look at planets that are, so not just the energy of the fixed signs, but you're going to want to look at those planets in the fixed signs, which houses they rule, and the topics and significations associated with those houses. That will also be subject to the most challenge, volatility, and dramatic change. If you have planets in the signs of Aries or Sagittarius, those planets and the planetary significations are going to be subject to positive change that will come about in a very exciting, but also very harmonious way. And when you look at those planets, also look at which houses they rule. All of these things are going to be in the Astrology 101 PDF guide. Those houses and those significations are going to be subject to really beautiful, really harmonious, really exciting types of changes where it feels good in the moment and the end results are good. Finally, you're going to want to look at and see if you have any planets at the end degrees of the cardinal signs. And so the cardinal signs, of course, are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. If you have planets at those end degrees of those signs, those energies are going to be subject to that Plutonian psychological or emotional intensity, the kind of psychological breakthrough or breakdown, and the subsequent fallout from that, which could be you just wanting to burn it all to the ground, burn some bridges, purge, let go of things that no longer serve you, and not really caring about who it affects or what goes on around you as a result, because you've kind of reached that point of no return. You've reached your breaking point. So that's what's going on there. That's how to pick it apart in your chart. And so now that we've done that, let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs. And I have again up here my little chart thing. I actually like this better, even though it's not as fancy. I might just do these videos this way, you guys, and let me know in the comment section what you think about that, because I like having the charts up, and I know if I was the one watching this video, I would want to see the chart they're talking about. And so let me know how you feel about that. My tutorials that I do, I'm going to do those like in my fancy space because they're more long lasting, right? These are a 2-week forecast. They stay up forever, but you guys stop watching them after this time period is done. The tutorials, like you guys can watch for like years if you want. So anyway, that's my thought process there. But we're going to get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries. And this is the chart for Aries and Aries rising. So, of course, you want to make sure you listen to your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign to get a more holistic overview of the energy for the 2 weeks ahead. But your rising sign is going to be the most predominant. All right. So for Aries and for Aries rising, this full moon is happening in your 5th house. And so you're having a little bit of an easier time. We mentioned like planets and points in Aries and in Sagittarius at the earlier part of this video having a little bit of an easier go with this. And that's definitely going to be the case with you. And this full moon is somewhat highlighting, it's a very wide trine, but it's somewhat highlighting the energy of Jupiter, which is in your sign right now, which is you feeling much more enthusiastic, you having a lot more luck, a lot more motivation. Not that you need extra motivation being an Aries, I guess, but you're going to feel a lot more motivated to take action. And the action you take is much more likely to turn out in your favor. And this full moon is highlighting that in a lot of ways, especially if what you're taking action on is something that you're deeply passionate about, something that you really love, something that you love to do, something that really speaks to your heart, right? That's that energy of Leo, looking at things that feel more like passion, that feel more like play, and how you can incorporate them into your life a little bit more so. There could have been financial constraints that were preventing you from engaging with your hobbies, your interests, engaging with maybe going out in the town and just enjoying yourself in some way. This is the time to create new ways to break free from that. There's something that you need to change in the financial area of your life. And that change can really have a dramatic and positive impact on you, especially when it comes to your ability to do the things that you love to do. This could also be a really good social full moon for you, especially if you're doing something that's more creative, like maybe you're going to an art class with some friends, or you're going to like a dance class or something like that, or you're going out and doing something that is really exciting for you or that you're really passionate about and you're doing it with your friends. This could be a great thing for that. This could also be something coming to a culmination point involving children, if you have any. And so it could be that there was some sort of financial constraint that was preventing you from doing something like literally for your children. Like maybe you wanted to send them to a private school. Maybe you wanted to buy them something. Maybe you wanted to just go out and have an adventure with them and you just didn't have the funds. Now is a time where you can shake free from that by changing something really dramatically in order to make sure that you can focus your attention on your children and what they need. And so this could be a really great energy for that. I think overall, this is going to be a much nicer full moon for you, Aries, than for a lot of the other signs. The thing that is a little dicey is going to be Pluto. So Pluto is going to be at that 29th degree in the sign of Capricorn, which is in your 10th house. You might be feeling a lot of psychological and emotional intensity or reaching your breaking point when it comes to your career, your public reputation, or some sort of dealings with somebody in a position of power and authority with hierarchy. And you might want to just burn it all down and start fresh, but there's going to be a need to purge, to let go, to move on from something in order to embrace something new in that area. And this is going to be especially intense for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising people near that 29th degree. So anyone who's near around 25 to 30 degrees, but especially at that 28, 29th degree, you're going to feel this the most. Okay. And so for Taurus and for Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this full moon is happening in your 4th house, which is the house of home, family, property, and real estate. You might feel kind of nostalgic about your upbringing, your family ties, your childhood in some way. And that could cause you to really want to break free and change something about the way that you're living your life or the way that you're interacting or engaging with your family relationships. But this is going to be a little bit more personal almost. It's like you're kind of thinking back to the way things were, back when you were a kid, or maybe something to do with your parents or something like that, maybe reflecting on something, or maybe even reflecting on an old place of living, a place where you used to call home and feel really good about. It's kind of like wanting to change something so you can go back to that space, but you're not going to be able to go back to that space. The only way through is forward, and the changes that you make have to be changes that lead to progress, that lead to forward motion, that lead to something brand new. You could, change it to be a little bit more like the way it was, but you're not going to be able to bring it back to the way it was, if that makes sense. This is also something coming to a culmination point, like maybe a big project or a big family type of event coming to a culmination, or something to do with like a home or a home renovation, something involving your property coming to a culmination, but coming up against some sort of change or some need to pivot, some sort of like a little bit of shake up, a little bit of chaos. And so that would be part of it too. the area where you're going to be kind of dropping off and purging and letting go and reaching this psychological breaking point is going to be a little less physical and a little bit more empowering for you than for some of the other signs. This is because Pluto is reaching that 29th degree in your ninth house, which is the house of adventure, foreign travel, but it's especially the house of your beliefs. It's your paradigms. It's the way that you frame your reality through your philosophical, religious, moral, and ethical value systems. There's something about these systems that you have adhered to very rigidly over the past maybe 20 years even that are breaking down. You're reaching that psychological breaking point, and it's almost like your mind can't take it. Like your mind is not aligned, like your mind or your beliefs are not aligned with your integrity and what your heart is telling you and your gut is telling you is the truth. And now you have to break free. You have to break out of that. You have to do something new. This could also be you breaking ties with something involving like a foreign country or a foreign entity. And that could be part of this too, or you reaching your breaking point when it comes to an educational pursuit of some kind. In either case, for you, purging, breaking free, letting go, not caring about what happens afterward in terms of like the ramifications, just knowing that this is truly what you need to do and what you feel very passionate about, that's going to actually work in your favor more so than it will for some of the other signs. So I'm not as concerned about you guys like burning it all down and leaving only ashes. I think that for you, it's going to be like the phoenix rising from the ashes. So if you need to let go of an old religious paradigm, if you need to let go of an old belief system, if you need to let go of some sort of travel plans or something like that, it could be as simple as that. That's causing you a lot of stress. It's, I think, green light to do it. Okay. And so for Gemini and Gemini rising, this full moon is happening in your third house, which is the house of short distance travel, vehicles, communication, siblings, neighbors, extended family members, so many things, especially a lot of connections in this area. And so this could be a social full moon for you, especially when it comes to your community and your immediate surroundings, like within your neighborhood. And so this would be a really great time for you to get out a little bit and to maybe socialize in your community. But there's something going on here behind the scenes that feels a little disruptive. It's almost like this could also be you making up your mind about something, but there's like this gnawing feeling subconsciously that this is not right or that you need to change it. This could also be something about maybe needing to change plans with an educational pursuit, especially if it's like a smaller type of educational pursuit, like a certification program or something like that, or maybe wanting to dive into something along those lines where it's like, I've been holding out and I've been doing things the same way for so long. I need additional education or additional guidance to really figure out how to make this happen. And I'm ready to just change it. I'm not going to do it the same pattern anymore. And so that could be a big part of it too, like finding a teacher or finding the right program or something along those lines. The Cosmic Academy of Astrology, if you are learning astrology. The shameless plug there. February 8th, you guys. But yeah, that could be part of what's going on here. I would also say that this could be the culmination point of a journey or some sort of travel plans that could come to fruition for you. But there's something about it that's being disrupted. And usually with that 12th house energy, it's something that's hidden or that's being kept secret from you that you're not seeing. Like maybe somebody's keeping a secret from you and that's going to disrupt the plans. Or there's just some sort of thing that you can't quite see yet that's going to come in and that's going to shake it up. So it's not going to go exactly the way that you think it will. But other than that, I wouldn't be super worried. I mean, this is a really great full moon for you, Gemini, for interpersonal communication and connection with other people, especially in your immediate community, but really for friendships, group associations, one-on-one connections in partnership, all of it. It's all really good. And so, yes, there's something kind of nagging behind the scenes that could disrupt you a little bit. But I would say if you're leaning into relationships and forming new connections this week, or even going back and revisiting old connections in a new way, then you're going to be just fine. And this is going to work really well for you. With Pluto, though, this is in your 8th house. And so this is you reaching a major psychological, emotional, breaking point. It could be that your fear gets the better of you. It could be that the past traumas, the past wounds, the past experiences kind of culminate and you just can't move forward anymore. You have to let go. You have to break free from something. This would be a really powerful time for psychological and emotional healing, where it's like, I'm not letting these past experiences, I'm not letting these traumas, I'm not letting the way that I feel right now dictate my reality anymore. And I'm done with it, right? So this is where you finally get the help you need. You finally move past this. This could also be you reaching a breaking point when it comes to some sort of financial issue, especially a joint financial matter. And so again, purging, letting go, shifting into something new. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn, this full moon is happening in your second house, which is the house of money, finances, material possessions. And so this full moon is going to be bringing up those themes. So that could be the culmination point of something that makes you money, but it's going to be disruptive in some way. So it could be money's coming in and somehow that new financial situation is disruptive to you. It could be that money's coming in and all of a sudden your friends in that 11th house with Uranus are asking for money and loans, and they want you to treat them to this and that. Maybe you got some greedy friends. I hope not. But it could also be that, you are kind of on the right path, or you finally feel like you're reaching some point of fulfillment with a financial venture, and your friends come in and kind of like shake your confidence with it and scare you into making a change that maybe you don't need to be making. So kind of keep that in mind. However, I would say that they might also be, it's kind of hard to tell. You're going to have to be discerning here, because depending on what else is going on in your chart, they might be right and you might actually need to make that change. So it's almost like your friends coming in and disrupting your progress with something in the area of finance or a big purchase even. And it's kind of like, which way do I go with this? Who do I trust? Do I trust this person? Do I trust that person? Or do I trust myself, right? That would be kind of the biggest thing. Trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your gut. Don't let everyone else's outside opinions kind of jumble you, because that's a very big danger right now. Pluto is leaving Capricorn, so it's at the 29th degree, or it will be, not in this chart, but it will be on the 11th. And so this is going to be a final breaking point where you reach your psychological and emotional, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm fed up. I need to change something in a relationship. And it could be a romantic partnership. It could be, some other type of relationship, like a close friendship, a business partnership. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's kind of like realizing that this relationship needs to transform and turn into something new in order for it to have longevity. And so that's something that you'll kind of realize, reach, and start moving forward. And so that's kind of what's going on there for Cancers. Not that's kind of, but that is what's going on there for Cancers. More definitive language there. Okay, so for Leo and for Leo rising, this is your full moon, Leo. You are in the spotlight, and as much as I don't want to play into the dramatic Leo stereotype, you're going to be feeling a little dramatic because the moon's there. Your emotions are going to be front and center on your sleeve. You're not going to be able to hide what you're feeling in any given moment around the time of this full moon. It's just being expressed. Even if you're trying to suppress it, there's too much volatility. There's too much going on psychologically and emotionally, especially for you to keep it under wraps. And so this is the time for you to say how you feel, to express it, to be dramatic about it, because that's what the moon wants from you for whatever reason right now. And so that's a part of this energy. You're also going to be kind of spotlighted. And so this could be that something comes to a culmination point. And by the way, with the emotions, it doesn't mean that bad emotions are being expressed. You could be just so enthusiastic about a really big change that you're making, maybe to your career with Uranus sitting up there in your 10th house. And you're just wanting to share it and scream it from the rooftops. And that could be a part of it too. I'm not saying that this is crying or something like that. It could be the opposite. But there's a change that you're making, and it's getting you a little tense. It's getting a little intense. It's shaking things up, and it's kind of causing this emotional roller coaster for good or for bad. And you're just going to be putting it out there, right? And so that's okay. But kind of going back to how this is spotlighting you, you are front and center, your needs are front and center. And this is the time where something that you really want, that you've really been working hard to create, you're going to get recognition for it. However, it's not going to come about in the way that you think it is. And that recognition could in and of itself be disruptive in some way because of that Uranus, right, up in the 10th house. And so keep that in mind. It's kind of like, okay, be careful what you asked for. You got what you wanted. Now look at this. You got to deal with all this craziness out here. Pluto for you is kind of having you fed up at the last straw, wanting to move on from something that is causing a lot of psychological or emotional intensity when it comes to your health, when it comes to your work, and when it comes to your daily routines. If you're somebody who is an employer or has employees, like you're a manager or something like that, it could be that you need to let someone go. You're just reaching your breaking point with this person. It could be that you need to let go of a certain health paradigm that is just not working for you. Maybe your health has just not been the way that you wanted it to be. And you're ready to let go of that. You're ready to move on to something bigger and better and to finally heal once and for all. And in this particular circumstance, that Pluto indicates that you'll be successful, most likely. I'm not going to say that for everyone because I don't know your individual charts, but the road to success is through addressing the psychological roots at the core of any issue that's happening physiologically. So I will say that though. Okay. And so I moved myself somehow for Virgo and for Virgo rising. So for Virgo, this is happening in your 12th house. And so this is a little bit more of an introspective full moon. It's not as out there in your face. This is not a social full moon for Virgos. This is a time to turn inward. There's something that you've been going through in terms of a change to your belief system or your overall paradigm that frames your reality. So you've been going through a lot of You've been going through a major paradigm shift over the past few years, and especially the last couple of years, it's been hitting home a little bit harder, where your beliefs, your mindset, your value systems are all shifting and changing. This is the time to turn inward and to reflect on those changes. This is the time to turn inward and to think about how to put those changes into practice. This could also be some sort of ending or purging. It's like the culmination of something that needs to come to an end, especially when it comes to ninth house types of activities or topics. So again, your belief systems and ideologies, it's kind of like this was too rigid. This isn't right. I need to kind of shift this. Or it could be involving very literally travel plans, connections with somebody in a foreign country, connections with a teacher. It could be needing to shift something or change something involving your educational pursuits. Maybe you thought that you were into this one paradigm, this one thing, this one program, and you realize that, hey, there's something bigger here that has more philosophical, that has more like just value for me in terms of like how it's going to enhance your integrity and personal development. And I want to do this instead. So that could be a big thing too for Virgos. The energy of Pluto is actually nice for Virgo and Virgo rising, especially if you're an N degree Virgo or Virgo rising. This is true empowerment through engaging with your passions. And this is you just locking in and doing it once and for all, becoming empowered to do what you love to do because you love to do it, and to focus intensely on those passions, on those pleasure pursuits, really, like the things that you're doing because it's pleasurable for you, because it's enjoyable for you, and bringing that into your day-to-day experience, making that a part of who you actually are out in the world. That's been ongoing, but it's going to intensify over the next couple of weeks until March 23rd, because it's kind of like this is your last chance. You'll get a couple more little chances, but this whole span of time here for the next year or so, last chance. All right. And then for Libra and for Libra rising. For Libras, this full moon is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, social networks, and people you surround yourself with by choice because you want to, because you like them. And so this could be some sort of social recognition that you get, not public recognition, but maybe a recognition that you get within your social circle. within your little group or a club or an organization that you're a part of. This could also be something involving, there's something going on here where your friendships are being disrupted, or your connections, your interpersonal connections, I should say, are being disrupted by fears, anxieties, past traumas, things that are kind of having control over you in the moment that are not necessarily happening in the moment. This could also be a financial disruption, especially through partnership, that causes a little bit of a difficulty when it comes to your interpersonal relationships, especially your group connections. This could be, that your interpersonal connections, that your group associations lead you to make a big change, a big decision to take something in a new direction when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your investments, when it comes to your partnerships in finance. It could even be like a marriage partnership where you connect with a couple of friends, they tell you about this thing, and your husband or your wife or your significant other decides to change course, and that affects you financially in some way. And so all of these things are potentials, but really this is a nicer full moon energy for you, Libra, than for a lot of the other signs. And so I actually really like this. This could be a dramatic outburst, by the way, involving one of your friends, or some sort of dramatic situation coming to a head involving a friend. But I think that dramatic situation is probably going to bring you a little bit closer together, and it's going to help you to understand each other a lot better, especially if you are a middle degree Libra rising. So anywhere from like 10 to 20 degrees, I would say, you're going to feel this in the most positive way. What Pluto's doing is causing you to reach a breaking point and need to kind of move past and let go of something involving your home, family, property, real estate, where you're kind of reaching that psychological, like, this is as far as I can take this. I need to change something. I need to purge this. I need to let it go. So it could be that you're fed up with a living situation. You can't take it anymore internally, psychologically. And so you need to break free from that living situation. It could be needing to let go of old ideas, old situations, old traumas involving your family, involving your upbringing. It could be needing to change the way that you deal with your family in a very dramatic sense. And so all of these things are kind of coming up into the open, especially after February 11th. Okay. Oh, and I should say for Libras, if you're an N degree Libra, this could be a lot of psychological intensity around you and the need to, I would say Libra rising people, if you have your rising sign, even your sun or moon sign, anywhere around that 29th degree. So I would say 25 to 30, but especially that 28th, 29th degree, this could be a time where you just want to burn it all to the ground, all of it. Everything. You want to change who you are. You want to get rid of your job. You want to get rid of your house. You want to change your relationships. You're just ready for an entire life makeover. And so it might be time for that, right? You might want to start thinking about how over the course of the next year, as we're doing this dance with Pluto at that 29th degree, how you can move into making the dramatic transformation you need across many areas of life in order to come back into what you truly need, want, and desire at a core level, because that's what Pluto's really about. It's like, yeah, I'm purging this, I'm breaking it down, but it's because I'm not in alignment. I'm not in alignment with my truth, with my desires, with what I came here to do and what I need. Okay, so Scorpio rising. So this full moon is happening in your 10th house of career and public reputation. This could be a culmination point of an important career goal, an important launch, an important something that you're putting out there into the world that's finally coming to fruition. But there's something going on here that's disrupting it or causing it to kind of go off kilter. And that could be stemming from an important relationship, either a business relationship, a romantic partnership, or a close connection of any kind that's throwing a wrench in the works and causing you to have to pivot, causing you to have to change things, causing you to have to do things in a different way than what you thought you were going to do. And so there is this need here this weekend to pivot something, to change something, to do a 180. And it's going to be disruptive. It's going to feel very intense and very difficult, but it's a necessary change. And that change is going to come through most likely a partnership or a connection with somebody else. This could be you getting some sort of recognition in terms of a raise or a promotion, or, just getting a pat on the back from your boss. Or this could be you having to deal with something involving an authority figure, and that's what's front and center, even if you're not working or if you don't have a career. And it's kind of like a disruptive energy where it's like finally lights being shed on this relationship with this authority figure or this rule or this like top-down hierarchy. But the way to deal with this is going to be a backwards, upside down way that I'm not necessarily comfortable with, right? Okay. And then, so for Pluto is reaching that 29th degree in the third house. This could be you kind of reaching a mental breaking point in the third house, but really this is more about, needing to shift something about your mindset when it comes to just day-to-day life, your day-to-day reality. This could also be you reaching a psychological or emotional breaking point with a situation involving your neighborhood, your place of living, like not your house, but like your immediate surroundings, like the town that you live in, your neighbors, your neighborhood. This could be you reaching a psychological breaking point when it comes to an issue pertaining to siblings, extended family members, things like that. But this is also a really nice time for you to transform your connections with your community, with your partner, and just in general, especially if you're a Scorpio rising anywhere around that 29th degree. You're going to have this really incredibly powerful opportunity to dig deep in your conversations with other people, to get to the core issue at hand, to dig into what you truly need, want, and desire in those connections on both ends, and to make that a reality, to transform those relationships. And so I love this energy for Scorpio. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius, this full moon is actually a little nicer for you. As I mentioned at the start of this video, Sagittarius planets and Aries planets are going to get the better end of the deal here. So lucky Sagittarius. But this full moon is bringing a culmination point involving something to do with your belief systems, a big travel plan or a connection with a foreign country or foreign entity. This could also be bringing to a culmination point something involving an educational pursuit where it's finally coming to a head. You're finally seeing it for what it really is, and it's causing a little bit of disruption. Or it could be that your day-to-day routines, habits, and life are causing a disruption to this educational experience. It could be a little bit of both, but there's a need to change either your beliefs or your framework around this, or to change something about what you're doing, like very literally. So maybe finding a new teacher, maybe finding a new program, maybe rededicating yourself to it in some way, maybe changing your daily habits and routines to work around whatever it is that's coming up for you. It's going to be very hard to stick to routines still for several years for you guys, Sagittarius. Not that you're like big on routines, you're a Sagittarius, but yeah, so it's kind of like needing to shift something, or something's disrupting you in the area of education or travel. This could also be a disruption, like it's almost like your day-to-day experience is in direct conflict with your ideologies, with your beliefs, with your bigger picture frameworks, paradigms, right, that shape your reality. And so there's a conflict here, and there's something that you need to shift, either about what you believe or about what you're doing. And so that could be a big thing for Sagittarius too. But for the most part, this full moon could actually bring like some sort of positive like recognition for an educational pursuit. This could bring a teaching opportunity where you can share your knowledge, your vision with the world around you. This could bring a travel pursuit. Even though it might be disruptive to your day-to-day routines, it could be a welcome disruption. I'll also say that with that Pluto energy, it's letting go of an old paradigm where you've reached your breaking point when it comes to your finances and the way that you go about creating resources through your hard work, through your efforts, or saving your money or spending your money. It's kind of like a major overhaul of your financial realm, right? Where you're like, I can't do this in this way anymore. I can't be broke like this. I can't be in debt like this, or I can't spend like this, or I can't compromise my integrity. That's probably part of this too with that ninth house. That's a big integrity thing. I can't compromise my integrity in order to make a living anymore. I need to do it differently. And so this could be you wanting to burn it to the ground and change it, which could be a good thing. For Capricorn and Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn, this full moon is happening in your 8th house, which is the house of debt, joint finances, inheritance, insurance payouts, taxes, things like that. And so there could be something that's coming to a culmination point involving other people's money, other people's resources, your partner's resources and finances. Maybe they get a big payout or they get a big bonus, and maybe you benefit from that in some way. But it's kind of like this money coming in, or this thing that's coming to a culmination point financially, is disruptive to your ability to enjoy yourself and like live, life and like have fun and do the things that you're passionate about. Or it could be the opposite thing, where the desire to pursue the things that are pleasurable and enjoyable is preventing you from making the most out of a financial situation that could be beneficial to you in some way. And so kind of looking at that and gauging where you're at with that will be helpful. This could also be something reaching a culmination point involving occult studies or sciences, involving a big kind of fear or anxiety, especially, that you overcome because it's just the light is shining on it and you're like, wow, this actually isn't a big thing like I thought it was. It's a little disruptive that I'm having this come up right now, but I see it much more clearly and I can change it, right? So this is you changing your paradigm, changing your framework around something that is causing fear or anxiety, some sort of trauma, some sort of wound, something like that, like on a psychological level. Pluto for you, Capricorn. This is the end of a transformational cycle that's been going on for like 20 years for you, where Pluto's been causing you to really have to get in touch with who you truly are at a core level, what you truly need, want, and desire for yourself, who you came here to be. It caused you to shed anything that isn't you in order to become yourself, to become more you. And this has been an ongoing process, but it's coming to an end. And so this is kind of like where if there's anything that is not aligned, if there's anything that you're doing that's false and that's not in integrity and that is not who you truly are, you're going to be purging it. You're going to be fed up with it. You're not going to be able to carry it forward anymore. It's going to feel like this psychological crisis is setting in, especially if you are a Capricorn at the end degrees, 28, 29 degrees. You're going to be feeling this very intensely. It's kind of like, I need to change. I can't do it. This is a big purge. This is a a volatile energy where you're shifting, right? You can't bring what you're doing right now forward into your new reality, and you know it. And so this is where you're going to have to start shifting and kind of burning some bridges, maybe even, in order to get from where you're at right now to where you need to be, because it's your last chance over this next year. And, this is the first kind of big culmination point of that. But I will say for Capricorns that this is going to be a very empowering experience for you. I would say that this is where you're going to be getting in touch with your true nature and feeling much more centered in, I feel like this sounds so cliche. It sounds like nonsense, but centered in your power. Like, I don't know how to explain this better. You're going to feel much more powerful. You're going to feel much more in control of your life and of your experience as a result of purging and letting go of anything that is not aligned. And so that's going to be a big part of this. All right. And then for Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius, this full moon is culminating in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships, interpersonal connections, one-on-one connections with other people. It's also the house of contracts, agreements, negotiations, things like that. And so I would say for some of you in particular, there could be some sort of ongoing negotiation or some sort of negotiation involving home, family, property, real estate that's coming to this culmination point where you'd like it to be settled, but there's still changes that need to happen. For others, it could be that you're having this culmination point in a relationship where you would like things to be settled, but there are changes that still need to happen in order to get there. This could be you wanting to do something really new and exciting with a partner, but it feels very strenuous and very kind of uncomfortable to do that, but it's almost like a necessary discomfort in order to get to the next stage in that relationship. And this could just be you needing to focus less on you, your needs, your wants, your desires, and more on your partner and more on what's going on behind the scenes. Because there's like a disruption brewing in your home life, in your family life, in your kind of at your roots. And your partnerships might be shedding light on that, or it could involve very literally partnerships kind of behind the scenes with your family, with your roots. And so there's something there that needs to be addressed, that needs to be shifted, that needs to be changed. And if you don't change it yourself while you're sitting here frustrated with it, then the change is going to come from the outside. And so you want to make sure you're taking advantage of this knowledge. Pluto in your 12th house, leaving your 12th house is a little bit different. For you, I would say it's like it's going to be a major ending of a cycle because the 12th house is endings. And then you have Pluto ending at the end degree in the sign of Capricorn. So it's kind of letting go of a lot of old paradigms, a lot of old cycles. This is kind of like a major subconscious purge of the old paradigm, right? And so, yeah, I would say that this is going to be, you might have some very dramatic endings coming your way, but like in a positive sense. Like these are things that you've known for not just this lifetime, but maybe many lifetimes have needed to come to an end. And finally you're like, all right, I'm having this opportunity. I'm purging this. I'm ending this cycle. This would also be a really great time to do some sort of like, past life regression hypnosis or some sort of anything that gets you in touch with the subconscious realms in a very intense way where you can kind of dig through what you need and kind of what you need to let go of, especially. I think this would be a really great time for that. Your dreams might be kind of strange and intense. And that's what I would say about the Pluto thing. It's a little less straightforward. Like it's not a concrete thing that's ending. It could be a concrete thing that's ending involving 12th house institutions like hospitals, retreat centers, rehab. Maybe you've been in and out of rehab and you're done with it once and for all. Like that could apply to some of you. And so if it's something like that, then, this could be a physical ending. But for most of you, it's going to be kind of like a non-physical, like almost like a spiritual ending, like a spiritual purge. Like this is not a part of my cycle anymore and I'm moving past it. All right. And then for Pisces, we're getting there, guys. Sorry that you guys are always last, but definitely not least. For Pisces, this full moon is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of pets. It's the house of health. It's the house of daily routines. It's the house of work, especially work that's in service of others or when you're employed by others. All of these things could be subject to being highlighted this weekend in a big way. It's going to be a busy weekend for Pisces. This is not a lackadaisical sit back and just chill kind of weekend. There's a lot of action going on here. This could bring a culmination point of something that you need to change or shift involving pets, involving your animals. This could bring a culmination point of something that you need to change or shift involving your health and your health habits and your health routines that you've known you need to change, but this is like glaringly obvious now and you're going to finally change it. This could bring a culmination point of something that needs to change, especially in your work, especially in the day-to-day work that you do, and especially if you are somebody who's not the CEO or who's not like a business owner. If you're somebody who works for somebody else, then there could be something here, especially involving communication with your work, that you need to change. It could also be that you need to go back and get additional certification or additional education in order to better your performance at work. And that becomes very apparent right now. And so that could be a big thing that comes up for you. In terms of the Pluto energy, this is where you're finally just reaching your breaking point, where once and for all, you are letting go of any relationships, especially friendships that are surface level, right? This has been a period of you figuring out truly and deeply what you need, want, and desire when it comes to your friendships, when it comes to the people that you surround yourself with in your social circle. You're realizing that you become who you surround yourself with, and you want to be a good person, or you want your life to be in a certain way. And some of these people that you've been hanging around with are not a reflection of that. Maybe you realize that some of your friends are surface level friendships. And so you've been purging, letting go, going through that, deepening the connections with people that you really do value, in relationships you really do value, deepening that trust. And so this is kind of where you might be reaching a breaking point with any surface level relationships and connections that are still withstanding, and you're going to want to purge it. You're going to want to burn it down. This is also going to, again, help facilitate deeper and more valuable connection in those close personal one-on-one relationships that really are tried and true, that really are loyal, that really do have a lot of value for you, and where you can provide a lot of value for them as well. You want to really focus in on that. And so that's going to be a big part of this Pluto energy over the next few weeks. And deepening your connection in one-on-one relationships romantically could be a big part of this too, especially if you're at the end degrees of Pisces. So if you're at like a 29-degree Pisces rising, then this could be a really empowering and powerful time to deepen your psychological and emotional connection with your partner, or even with a new partner. So that could be a big part of this as well. All right. So that's it, you guys. That is my forecast for all 12 signs. I'll see you very soon when we get into the new moon in Pisces, and that's actually happening on February 20th. And so this new moon in Pisces is pretty straightforward. It's not as wild as what we just are experiencing right now with this full moon in Leo energy. This is going to be a little bit more, I think it's just going to feel very peaceful, very relaxing. This is a time of increased creativity, spirituality, interconnectedness, all of those really beautiful Piscean types of things. And so we'll talk about that in just 2 weeks. So make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss that. And let me know in the comment section how this next couple of weeks goes for you. What are you purging? What are you reaching your breaking point with? What are you changing? What are you excited about changing? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.